Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Jumping again.
Okay, I'm just wondering. I'm going on vacation again.
Hey, this is a work session of the Silverton Board of Trustees. It is May 12th. The time is 6:01 p.m. All trustees are here except for trustee Gardner. Go ahead, take it away, Jim. Thanks.
All right, great. Well, thanks everyone for inviting me to this. Jim Donovan, I'm Office of Emergency Management and Emergency Manager. And really, this is just giving you all an update on really the wildfire season and giving you all a idea on what you do as trustees in the event of a wildfire and the event of a disaster. So I do want to make this more of a work session. So please interrupt, ask questions, make it interactive. I'm not going to get quite yoga, but definitely let's make this question Q&A oriented. I am going to just really try to work through the slides quickly so we can answer questions. With that, I think Gloria has the master controls, so I'll just.
I do.
You do. So yeah, so here's just a quick fire through. As always, I really love to push Nixle. This is our emergency alert system, which is vital for communicating to the community on when we have a disaster. It is really critical. So very simple. Our system is very simple. So you just text our zip code to 81433 to 888-777. You get automatically signed up. This is great for our part-time seasonal residents as well, because they can unsubscribe just as easy. So I really encourage anyone to do this. I also get part-time seasonal residents just get a kick out of hearing about when we're cleaning our sewers, things like that. So I think, and it is very effective. Another big thing I like to emphasize is that me as emergency manager, when fire season starts up, on a daily basis, I essentially start getting updated from state and federal partners on what the fire conditions are. So I'll go through just some of that information, but this just occurs as just my daily routine on what those conditions are. So it doesn't matter what the season is, if it's like a heightened fire season or really if there aren't any conditions. I get that information, then I will feed it to the sheriff and our fire department, depending on the conditions. If it's heightened conditions, I will make sure that the sheriff is updated. And if there are heightened conditions, then I feed it to our first responders so that we maintain that situational awareness. But we really just kind of keep it to one point person, just so it's not barrage. So, because it is actually quite a bit of information that gets produced both by the state and the federal partners. This season as well, we're going to be doing a lot more community preparedness messaging. The season looks to be not quite as bad. I'll go over what this season looks to be compared to previous seasons. That we just that our community a lot more, I'd say, prepped than previous seasons. So I'll go over that as well. And then I'll just talk a little more about just how Fed, state, local partners are working this year with Forest Service, BLM, Department of Fire Protection and Control, and local partners include just our local counties and local partners as well, local nonprofits, and then fire protection districts. Then also all of our first responder partners, both within Silverton, San Juan County, but then regionally, because we all play in the same game, and it's really important to all together. So it's that's a key component. Next slide, please. So wildfire response in Colorado, how does it work? So especially in San Juan County, we have to remember San Juan County is essentially 80% of San Juan County is under federal, essentially federal land management between BLM and Forest Service. So if a fire starts on federal lands, it's essentially their responsibility for dealing with it. We still report it. We report it to, it's called interagency dispatch. It still may take some time to get to that fire. We can still respond to that fire with our resources. But as far as paying the bill, 100% their responsibility. If we spend some money on that, they will owe us to pay for the resources that we've used on that. Now, if there are pieces that a fire has started on, whether it's county land or fire protection district within the county or local property, then it gets a little more complicated. And it essentially breaks down into a fire protection district. And this is the kind of hierarchy of how it works. Fire protection district, county sheriff, and then it goes to state responsibility. This mix is really about kind of who pays for it. As far as that initial attack, that never gets slowed down. It's really, you put out the fire as soon as you can possibly do it, because you do not want to delay a response on arguing who's going to pay for it. So that's always important to emphasize. Like, that's never within either of these situations, you never slow the response down. But it is important to know kind of where it starts, because that does kind of kick the bucket of where eventually who's going to pay for it. As far as fire protection districts, South County Durango Fire Protection District does control from Molis south, and that is a taxing district. So that is so that as far as the neighborhoods, essentially, they have some funky names like Know Your Neighbor and Cascade Village. Those are under Durango Fire Protection District. So they're responsible for first responder capabilities, but also fire protection, which includes wildland fire as well. So a part of that is that wildland fire piece. County Sheriff has a big wildland fire responsibility within Colorado. So our sheriff takes that piece, and it's called it's essentially called the area operating plan that gets signed every year. And this is done at a big meeting that occurs with all the agency partners. And we had this, it was about 2 months ago. And just goes over kind of all of these roles, make sure everybody is on the same page with it. There's usually not really any issues with it in San Juan County, because it usually starts here. So we don't have to worry about it too much. La Plata County, other counties, gets a little more complicated. I think just to clarify too, another piece that does occur in Colorado is called the emergency fire. Another funding mechanism is called the Emergency Fire Fund. And that gets depleted pretty quickly, because that is paid in by counties. But when big fires occur, that gets drawn down pretty quickly. San Juan County has not actually paid into the EFF for quite a while. I actually am going to recommend to the commissioners that we do pay into it more as kind of a good faith thing. It's our amount is really not that much. And it does not preclude us from ever getting any services from any state or federal partners, but it's more just like, hey, we play along with everybody. And so we'll see if they go along with it. And it's kind of this, it's up to really the sheriff and the commissioners. Next slide. Any questions on that before I advance? It's kind of a good one, just to see. All right, let's move forward. Okay, so now this is more, these get generated kind of, I'd say it's like every couple of weeks, but it shows the wildland fire potential outlook. This comes from the, it's called the National Interagency Fire Center, and it's predictive services. So it gives what the outlook is. And this provides essentially an idea of where they're going to position wildland fire fighting resources. And you can see here we are in Southwest Colorado. So above normal fire potential. So we are more of in a hot zone compared to the rest of Colorado. Northern Colorado, kind of above, like split the state in half. The state has done pretty good with this past winter above the northern part of the state. We didn't do so great this winter, so we're going to suffer with the summer with the wildland fire potential. So we're just going to see significant wildland fire potential going until monsoons. We'll see how monsoons do for us. But I get this information and just this is like kind of a big overview. And next slide. And then this is the snow water equivalent. And I just wanted to show you all how this looks. This black line is our current snow water equivalent for 2025. So you can see we're just right here. And the big thing I wanted to show is really 2018 is the pink. That's the 416 fire. And we're above that, so that's good. And then 2002 is the Missionary Ridge fire. So those are two big fires. So we're above those. So that's a good thing. So if we were below those, then that would be a real bad thing. So we can just be like thumbs up, not as bad. But just know that we are not as good as previous years. So next slide. And we are in moderate drought. We're not in severe drought in other areas. And honestly, you look at drought, Colorado is often in drought conditions. And I always kind of take this in a bit of a grain of salt, but it is good. Like when we hit that severe drought, those are really when we have to be concerned about. Next slide. This is more information I get just on the daily. Southwest Colorado is broken into two zones. It's the lower zone. This is the Durango area, the lower zone, and the upper zone is San Juan County. And I'm not going to go into great detail on it. All you need to know is looking at the bubble. So the bubble's down here where really good. So last week with all the rain and snow, we were down here. That was great. As it starts creeping up, not good. See all the red? That's where all the fires have happened historically. So 416 ice fire. So as this bubble starts creeping up, it's essentially saying, as this goes up, burning index percentile and energy release component, that just basically means things are really dry and the potential for things to burn. And then it just shows the historical. So we get this, it's got a predictive and an observed, and get this twice daily. So this is from today. So it's actually not that bad, but I just wanted to show you all, this is just kind of information that we get. So when do I get worried? When I start seeing us get into the orange, and then that's when I'll send it out to sheriff, fire, and letting our EMS know. And that's when we'll start being concerned about doing fire bans, information like that. Next slide. So, and then that's when we'll start discussing fire restrictions. And whenever we start discussing fire restrictions, it's not just in a vacuum. We're discussing with state and federal agencies as well. So we have, we're not just kind of making it up, we're using good evidence to back it up. So, and the really good thing is our sheriff takes this very, very seriously and very aggressively. So which I think is incredibly, it's very beneficial for us, because once a fire starts, it is incredibly difficult to stop wildfires. So being very aggressive about or not having them start is just incredibly important. So we should be very thankful that we take this prevention very, very seriously. So.
And Jim, is it typical that we would wait for the federal land managers to take some sort of position and then the county and town would follow suit? Or would we be a little bit more proactive, encouraging them because we're more boots on the ground here?
So I'll be on a weekly call, and it'll be going back and forth, and we will get very aggressive about it because we are up here, and we will often push back with the feds, and we'll say, you know what, we are actually going to go into stage one. So we will often go back and forth. And we've been known to push harder and say, you know what, we're going stage one because we really don't want any wildfires to start, because it's our resource. It's just longer time to get resources up here. And once it starts, it's just really difficult to stop. So
yeah,
there's certainly a lot of back and forth, but we are known to be a lot more aggressive with our restrictions.
thanks. Yeah. I'm gonna let you know, you have 10 minutes. So I know.
Okay. Okay, so here's how it works with a disaster declaration process. So we have a wildfire that has started. We open up the emergency operations plan, which has been renewed and approved this year. We do have a intergovernmental agreement with the town of Silverton that has been approved. So it basically gives the power of the board, where it's a mutual agreement, where me as emergency manager is operating both the town and the county. And then we do a disaster declaration, and this is if the wildfire is really affecting both town and county. And then we'll have a joint meeting with the town board and county commissioners. Write a resolution. That resolution gets submitted to the state emergency management and then gets approved. And then that essentially opens state resources to assist in whatever we need and whatever we're requesting. So this can happen really, really quickly. And it can happen on like a Friday evening. So these can be emergency meetings. And so it is can be a very quick process. We have good practice with this with different types of disasters, and usually we have town administrators who are in town, but as an example with the ice fire, Willie was out of town. I think we had two commissioners. Well, we had two commissioners that were in town. We had a town administrator who was AWOL. And, so there's various, we've had kind of everything that's happened, but we've been able to make it work. Any questions on this? The big thing I want to emphasize when this happens is this is where your role as a town board member is extremely important. This is where essentially you should read through your what your roles and duties are, because your availability on the phone is important. Your availability from Gloria is important, because as long as Gloria is available, we will use her as the point person and have her communicate with you. If she's not available, I will be communicating with you directly. But it is of utmost importance to do this quickly, but also as transparently as possible, because disaster declarations do allow a lot more essentially power to be made available and spending authority as well. It's, so it is very critical, but it's at a point where the community is vulnerable, and but those resources need to be made available. So any questions on how that works? We also lay out the process in the emergency operations plan. And one of the updates with the EOP is making the spending authority detailed, a little more detailed. So those policies have been updated.
So I had one question. So recognizing that like if a wildfire starts on federal land, that doesn't mean we wouldn't necessarily be moving to a disaster declaration, because if that wildfire is threatening town and county health, safety, well-being, then that might still lead us to do a disaster declaration, right? Or not?
Not necessarily. I mean, it could, we could have a wildfire that is occurring within the county, and it may not at all,
But we could,
disaster.
Right.
but there could be one on national forest land that does spur us to then do the disaster.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep, that's.
Yeah. But there also could be one that the town may not need to actually be involved. It could just be simply the commissioners.
Great.
Yep. Any other questions? All right, let me just bust through the rest, just if we have any other questions. Okay, these are just some of the tools that I use and other first responders and emergency managers use, and bust through some more. Let's bust through a few more. I'll just show a few slides of the ice fire and 416. 416 fire down in Durango, ice fire. This is where we actually had the incident command post up in town hall here during COVID. So social distancing. Okay, keep going. 416, keep going. Ice fire, keep going. Ice fire, keep going. Okay, and I wanted to show you this. This is ice fire. This was the perimeter of the fire. This is from a computer program that modeled the ice fire. I wanted to show you Silverton. This is actually predicting essentially the march of the ice fire if it had not been managed at all, but it shows actually how close it would have been getting to Silverton. So it shows just kind of how quickly it would have developed. And remember, this was in essentially mid to late October. So, that's crazy. Okay, keep going. Nixle, we have 23
The Marshall Fire.
Contacts.
December.
1,800 on SMS and 860 emails. And socials, 11,000 on our social media page. And keep going. Then wildfire evacuation, this is a standardized national system, it's ready, set, go. This is what we use. And keep going.
I have a question about the
Yes.
evacuation though. Mandatory, not mandatory, and then what can we tell people if they ask us about it? And will, like, if it's mandatory, can it be enforced?
Yeah, let's go back to that. Not mandatory are these two levels.
Okay,
Green and yellow. Red, once we hit red, it is mandatory.
Yeah.
The sheriff can essentially say it is mandatory. At that point, if people refuse, hand them a form and say, okay, you refuse. You're basically saying you have forfeit your public safety.
yeah, and your ability to call public safety will not,
Yeah.
won't be honored.
Exactly. And that's, people can do that, but it's pretty forceful when you're basically saying, I've signed my life away.
Copy.
So I'm actually going to stop there since we don't have much time left. And I'm going to answer questions. I am going to just leave this slide up, which does talk about insurance. Insurance is a really big deal, not only in Colorado, but throughout the West. And insurance rates are going through the roof due to wildfire, and insurance markets are essentially collapsing. The state of Colorado is figuring out how to deal with this. This is the Marshall Fire, just as an example. And it's just something that the state is having to deal with. Every community is having to deal with. But wildfire risk is just increasing. Our community does have a lot of risk. I have all of our wildfire risk information. We are essentially in the mid-range compared to Durango. Durango is through the roof. Like, Durango is a high risk wildfire community. But I did want to kind of leave that with you all to ponder, and now just answer any questions or concerns.
When do you guys, how and when do you make the evacuation order?
Oh, and when,
Right now.
that's a great question, and there's just so many layers with it. Because there's, evacuation is just one of those where it is one of the most difficult decisions to make, especially for our community, because it is so isolated. To evacuate would be one of the most difficult decisions. We would essentially, for us to evacuate would be one of the kind of last ditch efforts. It would essentially be saying, like, we can no longer prevent a wildfire from getting into the community. And for us to evacuate, it really would be one of the last ditch efforts. And to evacuate our community would be very, very challenging. And it would require, the evacuation it's actually it's a big project that it's an ongoing project. Because basically evacuation has led to multiple difficult disasters that have happened in, especially in California, like Camp Fire,
Yeah.
great example. People have evacuated, ending up with essentially an incident within an incident where people have evacuated, cars burnt, then people having to essentially evacuate from their cars, running from their vehicles. So it's a very complicated problem.
Thanks, Jim. Other questions?
Do we have time? So
We can do just a few more minutes.
do you, in terms of like federal resources, like personnel, do you feel like we have adequate resourcing for this summer?
That is a really good question. At the moment, we do. And it is basically right now, since really Southwest Colorado is really the area that is at risk as opposed to the entire state.
Mhm.
I do feel like we as the state do have adequate resources. Now that can change if basically the kind of equation changes for the rest of Colorado. Just because the outlook right now looks as it does, it looks okay. But if we see a really big wildfire occur,
Mhm.
say in northern Colorado, and then all the resources move up there, then that's going to change for Southwest Colorado. And it's just going to be, it's going to be a difficult, honestly, it's going to be a difficult summer looking at that just because of the way there's a lot of flux in the way federal staffing is working right now, and it has not been sorted out. And that's just a reality that they are still working out.
So I think we have about 2 more minutes. Yeah, Jim.
Well, in your travels around the state, has the state of Colorado ever kicked around the idea of providing insurance for rural communities? Like they do in Florida, Citizens Insurance provides hurricane flood insurance for.
Yeah,
State-based market.
Yes.
there is, I have heard talk about basically creating a state market. But I honestly have not, other than talking about it, I have not heard it go beyond that. That's a great question.
Thanks, Jim. Well, I want to make sure we give enough time to housing authority topics. So if you have any more questions for Jim, reach out. I know I'd be happy to answer questions. Thanks for sharing with us.
Great.
It at least helps us all be on the same page for the summer.
And I do want to say we are going to do more wildfire preparedness. And a big shout out to Bevan. Bevan is going to be heading up a lot of the wildfire preparedness education.
Thanks, Bevan.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks.
Great.
Tim,
Hope to see you for updates.
Yes, thanks.
No emergency meetings.
pairing only.
Thank you. All right, so it's 6:35. That concludes the work session. And you tell me when you're ready. Ready. Great. Okay, it's 6:35 and we'll start the Silverton Housing Authority meeting. All are present except for Trustee Gardner. Is that okay for you, Melina, for notes?
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, Ann, I'll pass it off to you.
Quick comment.
Yes, we opened up to public comment. We have nobody, I skimmed over that. We have nobody in person. Is there anybody on Zoom who'd like to make a public comment about the Housing Authority meeting? You can click the raise hand button and comment. All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. And do we have any board revisions to the agenda or staff revisions? Okay, great. All right.
And the next item is approval of the April 21st, 25 meeting minute. There is a mistake in the minutes that I made saying it was in March instead of April. But if that is corrected, then they are ready to be approved.
So we could say with administrative edits.
Make a motion to approve the minutes with administrative edits.
Say it out.
Oh, I thought I did second.
Okay.
I said it pretty loud in my head.
Yes. Trustee Wakefield?
Here.
Here.
Yeah.
We're voting yes.
Trustee George?
Yeah, here, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that was a 1-minute meeting that we had, so that was.
That was pretty straight.
Approving the minutes that I approved. Exactly. Next on the agenda is the director's report. So it's been a month or so since my last update. Since then, it's been a balance of, it's been a lot of administrative work on grants and the LLC and our organization. Attended several conferences and did several presentations at events and meetings. I think the notable things here are the Board of County Commissioners approved our funding request back in March for $13,000 to hire SEH for entitlement work for the townhomes. And so SEH has begun that work. So the townhomes has to go through a subdivision process that just requires a bit more professional work than what we can produce in-house. I attended the Planning Commission meeting last month. There was a discussion about fee in lieu for a subdivision process for affordable housing. And I just provided some input there. Presented at the San Juan Development Association Business Summit. That was a really great opportunity to connect with our business owners. And we went over the 2024 housing market study. So looking at the trends of housing prices and wages and exploring opportunities for businesses to partner and get involved in our affordable housing initiatives. Then following that was the San Juan Development Association stakeholders meeting. So provided project updates and challenges that we're facing. And then continuing to have meetings with community members that are interested in home ownership. So keeping that ball rolling.
Do you feel like in that like the website, I mean, you're putting out a lot of information out there, like a lot of really great information. Do you feel like people are having different questions because a lot of the information is available, or for most folks, it's still a very new?
I think it's a new process, even if the information's out there, helping people understand how it applies to them.
Yeah.
And home ownership is a difficult task and it's different for everyone. So just starting those connections early, connecting them with resources. But it has been challenging to not have total clarity on the townhome project yet. So those discussions are very preliminary and talking about estimated application openings and what they look like and the steps to start taking now. On top of my to-do list is finalizing the capital stack for the Annville Townhomes development. This includes starting to initiate a backup plan for the Colorado Health Foundation funds. I still don't have an update. I truly believe it's going to be this week, but we have learned that even if you think that, it might not be the case for months now. But it does sound good. It's in the final level of review. And there haven't been any concerns raised about it as it's progressed through the different levels of review. So that's been reassuring. But we'll get more into that topic a little later. And then just focusing a lot on the administrative work for that project. So opening a bank account, getting an employer identification number, sales and use tax exemption, et cetera. Upcoming issues, if all goes well in the next 1 to 2 weeks, we'll need to finalize a construction loan with First Southwest Bank as soon as possible, to not only takes a long time to close a loan, but also to make sure we can lock in a really awesome interest rate opportunity.
Are you gonna need a board meeting?
Yes, so I was gonna request a meeting on June 2nd. That will be, you'll have 2 meetings off, 2 weeks off. And then June 2nd wouldn't be a regular meeting of the town board. But that timing is important to help us decide and give the official green light for moving forward with the townhome project. I don't think, you said you had a scheduling conflict, Dana?
Yeah, I might have a scheduling conflict and Jim might have a scheduling conflict.
Okay.
Oh, I might be able to zoom in depending on how long it was. So,
Okay.
I might be able to zoom in.
The next one, there wasn't room to fit it on them.
I mean, how long do you need?
Probably, I mean, what do you all think? I'll be presenting a $3 million loan request or application term sheet. So that's up to you. How you want to dive into that?
We could do a half hour on the 9th prior to the meeting. We approved tonight the 5:30 to start on the 9th. The regular meetings to start at 5:30 on the 9th.
Does that timing work for you? And
It should. Yeah, I think it would be fine. I think we'll need a formal resolution. But we've been pushing the underwriting process. It's like in progress. So
I should be able to call in on the 2nd if it needs to happen the 2nd.
Okay.
So
I'd prefer the 2nd, but if it needs to wait until the 9th, that's okay.
well, should we tentatively put it for 30 minutes on the 2nd and then?
I can zoom in on this. I can.
Okay.
I might even be able to be in person.
And then if,
Yeah, I'll just check in with everyone to make sure we have enough.
what does the board think? 30 minutes, an hour? I mean, oh, wait. No, I'm not available 2nd. 30 minutes, an hour for that loan review. Will Clayton be reviewing it?
I'll review it ahead of time.
Yeah. 30 minutes, an hour? On the 2nd? Yeah, I mean, or either one. Whenever we have this meeting, do you guys think we need 30 minutes or an hour?
I mean, I could zoom in.
Well, that one isn't as crucial. It's just when the start time is for that one. It's only if we did it to the 9th we would need to. Yeah.
I can zoom in, actually.
Well, it sounds like let's aim for the 2nd, and then if everybody's having problems, and then we'll.
And is that 5:30 on the 2nd? Does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
5:30?
Okay.
5:30.
Our next upcoming issue that I'm focusing on, it'll be a subtle tweak to the language in the land use code. So in 2023, the town opted into Proposition 123, in which we committed to updating our land use code to have a fast track review process for affordable housing projects. And then also to increase our affordable housing supply by 3%. And so in order to build a fast track requirement, We were very close, but there was one line of text that technically conflicted with statute. So we're working with Clayton on revising that. So that will be a small project we'll be working on in the coming weeks. And then on the 20th of May, representatives from the Division of Housing are doing a tour of Southwest Colorado. They're doing a tour of Anvil at 5:30 p.m. and then a public meeting at probably 6 p.m. at the Lacey Rose Saloon. You all are welcome to come. We're gonna notice it as a public meeting. I can give you talking points. But this is a good way for us to connect with the representatives that are administering the legislation and statutes that we have to follow and our grants. But yeah, please let me know if you want to come and if you want speaking points.
Story.
Yeah. Other major updates. We started the avalanche study for the boxcar sites. And that grant was extended until May of 2026. Our DOH funding is pending. We still have to get that remaining 450K, but still going smoothly. Still no final notification from the Health Foundation. We wrapped up a major grant that we used to purchase the Zanoni property, and that was covering my salary and the environmental cleanup cost estimates. So that was a big milestone to finally wrap up one grant. And so I started my next grant for my job, and that is through Proposition 123, again, that funding source. And then the ADU pattern book is still on my to-do list, but I don't quite have capacity to start that process.
Wait and see if you're building 9 homes or not.
Exactly.
You know.
And then I attended the Colorado Mountain Housing Coalition conference in April. It's a 2-day conference. It's really insightful. And then there was a Regional Housing Alliance of La Plata County Housing Summit. And that was really great to connect with our local regional partners, and I learned a bunch. Any questions on the director's report? Great. Next on the agenda is resolution number 2025-05, and this will be opening a bank account on behalf of Anvil Townhomes LLC. So the Housing Authority, as the 100% member and manager of the LLC, we act on behalf of the LLC. And in order to keep our budgets and everything separate, we need to open up the LLC's own bank account. And so it would have Dana, Jim, me, and Gloria as signatories. And then it would give Melina authorization to supervise the account. Any questions or hesitations to do that? Okay, the motion language is in the memo.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-05, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the Town of Silverton to take the necessary steps to open a bank account for the authority and its entities with Bank of San Juan's, and to authorize signatories and supervisors on all bank accounts.
Again.
Thanks, Melina.
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield? Trustee Baker?
Yes.
Trustee Coach?
Yes.
Tim Harper?
Yes.
Great. Thanks.
The next item is a memorandum. So in order for the LLC to open a bank account, it has to have an EIN. In order to apply for an EIN, you have to use a social security number. And so I will use mine under the condition that we maybe authorized is the right word for this memorandum. That says that I am in no way connected or liable to any of the financial or legal responsibilities of the LLC. And I wrote down the language for the motion here. I forgot to put it in your packet. You don't have to do it.
I can read it for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Questions on that? No? Good.
I'll make a motion to approve the internal memorandum concerning use of employee social security numbers for the Anvil Townhomes LLC's application for an employee identification number.
Second.
Great. Roll call, please. Trustee Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Whitfield? Mr. Tukin?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Yes. Great. And a lot of administrative steps.
Really putting my ID out there.
Hope this doesn't fail.
Jim.
It's gonna be great.
Fine,
It's gonna
Jim.
be great.
So, okay, so since we still haven't heard about the Health Foundation funding, the Division of Housing funding, which is 616,000, they cannot formally issue it without a guarantee that we have the 450K elsewhere, which makes sense. We extended that award to the end of June. And in the meantime, we're starting our backup plan. And one of the pieces of that plan is to request funding from the Board of County Commissioners. And this request is a significant one. It would be $100,000. Again, I'm going to request this to be contingent upon denial of the Health Foundation funds. I recognize that this fund is a shared fund between childcare and housing fund or needs in our community. This request is not at all an attempt to undermine future requests from other entities like childcare or other housing. We have just gotten to a point where the viability of the townhome project, it could be at risk. And so I need formal direction to request this funding from the Board of County Commissioners. And I'd also probably invite one or two of you to join me on Wednesday morning if possible, if it comes to that. Again, I'm really hoping tomorrow I'm going to get an email and we won't have to go request this, but I've been working with Tributary, our developers, and we've come up with ways that we can piece together. It'll be really scrappy, but we can piece together the 450K.
Any objections to directing Ann to go to the Board of County Commissioners? No, I'm seeing no objections. Is anybody for you and show your face? I am not showing, but
All good.
sorry. Yeah, no opposition. Okay. We're just gonna hope tomorrow that we hear great news.
Great.
Hey, thank you, Ann, for getting scrappy.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we won't go there, but we might have to. I'll be there. Gloria will come with me.
Is there like an one that it's taking so much longer than we thought it might?
So back in October, November, and December, the Health Foundation came out to visit. They were super interested in the project. They said, we'll send you an invite to apply in January. We'll approve your application in February. We'll get you a check by the end of February. Since the federal funding cuts have started at the beginning of this year, they pumped the brakes on all funding because they're a foundation. They can be more nimble and responsive. And so they just wanted to see where everything fell. So in March was when we were finally invited to apply. And then very unclear what their review process looks like. It didn't have to go to the board. So it was all internal, but it's the way I like to think of it is the Division of Housing application was the hardest, most strenuous, difficult application ever. But in return, we got really clear decision points and clarity on that process. The Health Foundation application was extremely easy. It couldn't have been easier, but we're somehow dealing with a lack of transparency, which is they don't have to have transparency, but it's not at all what we were expecting. So we haven't heard anything negative yet, which is very good.
Mhm.
And it tends to be positive language whenever I talk to them about updates, but it's never anything official.
Mhm.
So been on the edge of my seat for probably 7 months now. But we will get there one day, folks, or not. We'll see.
We're gonna keep thinking positively. All right, well, thanks, Anne. Thanks for
Thank you.
pivoting and pursuing that. Any other questions from the board, Fran? Great, okay. The time is 6:57 and I'll adjourn the Silverton. We will reconvene in 4 minutes. It's enough. Pledge of allegiance for humans. The time is 7:06. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Trustees on May 12th, 2025. Roll call, please, Mary.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Wakefield? Mr. Schnicker?
Yeah.
Mr. Deutsch?
Yeah.
Mr. Harper?
Revisions to the agenda.
I just wanted to note the new agenda format that was adopted and now I did so.
Thank you. And remind to the public, this is try to put public hearings sooner in the meeting agenda, so you don't have to stay till 9 o'clock. And so you can hear staff reports. We just changed a little bit. So some of the more public facing items that we discussed are earlier in the meeting.
And just so you all are aware that you're getting that feedback on your video of audio, whatever that is.
One sec. Thanks for letting us know.
How about now, Clayton?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, whatever you do, it fixes it. So
Yeah, I just switched it off the video for a second.
cool. That worked.
Great, thank you. All right, public comment. This is the time of our agenda. We'll open up for public comment. If you're in person and you'd like to make a public comment, you can come to the podium. Introduce yourself. You'll have 3 minutes. And if you're on Zoom, you can click the raise hand button and we'll come to you after we're done with in-person public comment. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Evan. My thoughts are not super concise. I just came from another thing that I was doing. But I don't know if I read the agenda correctly, but it seemed like there was gonna be more discussion about the camper ordinance. And I just thought, if I read that correctly, that seems like a really good idea. I was not able to attend a lot of meetings over the winter due to a very bad chronic injury. And I know that this was not like a thing that happened out of nowhere, you know, there were public notices and stuff. But there's a lot of concern about that. The other thing, I don't think I have to give support because you all are already doing it, but going after the Bear Smart grant, that's just super awesome. And so I think that's great. And that's all. Thanks.
Great. Do we have any Zoom public comment? Again, you can click the raise hand button and we'll promote you to panelist. All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
And I just want to note in here, we put the consent agenda before everything now so that if we wanted to pull anything out, it can then go into the business items.
I had one administrative edit to the minutes.
Okay.
I think the minutes from the last meeting indicated that we're forgoing the GIS and just using PDF maps, but I had thought that we'd said we'd move forward with the county hosting it.
Yes.
Okay, great. So we can approve the minutes with that administrative edit if the board's agreeable.
And I also wanted to point out, since we have our new land use code and we're making more administrative decisions, you now get a notice of decision in the consent agenda. So there are 2 notices of decisions in the consent agenda. And you can click on the link for the full application, but you get the letter that says exactly what we did and how we decided that. So
I really like that addition because I think it's really great to move to more administrative decision making. It's more efficient, but I like the transparency here a lot. Anything else from the board on the consent agenda? There's a couple letters of support in there. I'll just call out that the letter of support for the Natural Resources Damages Fund, just to note that, again, we already did a resolution for what the town of Silverton is asking for. That's a letter of support to support the overall regional package, right? There's a variety of packages of projects being proposed in the whole region. Okay.
And First Fridays.
First Fridays, yeah. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with administrative edits.
Second.
Right, roll call please, Melina.
Trustee Harbison? Yes. Trustee Rico?
Yes.
Trustee Schnicker?
Yes.
Trustee George?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper?
Yes.
Mayor Franker?
Yes. Great, agenda item 5, staff reports.
So you do have our reports in there, and I wanted to mention that we're kind of changing the way we are managing refuse a little bit this year. So we've retrofitted our convenience cans, those are being rolled out. And then we're not going to be doing a camping dumpster this year, so or any additional dumpsters to be provided. Honestly, we gave everything to everyone last year, and we still had a trash problem. So we're trying to scale it back. This is definitely a pilot program this year to see how this works. There's studies that say if you put less trash cans out, you'll get less trash. So we are trying to abide by that study right now and see if that works. So just wanted to give you guys the heads up on that. We're also cracking down on the transfer station tags. We do have 2 grants in right now for internet infrastructure at the transfer station, as well as an attendant. So hopefully good things will come out of that.
Going into the summer season, do you think that we could do a little Facebook post specifying that, just so people, so we don't get a bunch of questions like, hey, where's dumpsters and where's trash cans, and I don't know, small, slight public education if you have time.
Sure. And then happy to take any questions on the staff reports.
Managing a lot of grants, a lot of work. Any questions from the board on the staff reports? Okay. All right, moving on to presentations and proclamations, agenda 6A. We have some very exciting news. I'll kick it over to Gloria.
Yes, so I would love to introduce you all to our incoming Public Works Director, John Zarkis. He comes to us from Montrose as the water distribution team leader for the last 20 years with the city of Montrose. He was Employee of the Year in 2012. And I know I'm going to embarrass you here. And he recently received the Team Excellence Award in 2019. So he will be starting on June 30th, and I'm planning a meet and greet with the community on July 8th at Anisi Park.
We're really happy to have you here.
I'm excited to be moving back up here. Looking forward to it.
Great. Awesome. Well, we'll give you a warm welcome in July, and we won't overwhelm you too quickly.
I mean, you're coming back just in time. 30th.
I hear we'll have less trash for you to deal with, so it's great. Thanks for coming up.
Welcome.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item 7A, business items. This is a special event notice for Iron Horse contract, May 24th, 2025. And do we have the applicant here? No. I thought he was gonna be on, but no.
If not on Zoom, I don't see him on Zoom, but this is a change in the contract. So we've done a 3-year contract. That contract expires this year. They're asking for a 5-year contract with some slight changes. We included both those changes, or included the clean draft and then the changes in your agenda memo as well.
Okay. Great. So this would be any questions for Sarah? One question that came up for me, I may be remembering this wrong, but I feel like there was something in our old contract where they donated something to our facility, our events infrastructure, barricades or porta potties or something, and I didn't see that in there anymore. And so has that just kind of been negotiated differently?
And so that was never in the contract. It was always an agreement with the town and the Iron Horse group. And so it's usually during their board meetings, Deanne works with them on those type of negotiations.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's not something we're gonna put in the contract.
Correct.
Okay. And then I was slightly confused. Let me find it on page. Well, first of all, the contract references the communications and events coordinator. So do we want to change that? Do we want to keep that in? What is your guys' thought there?
I mean, really more of the updates that I provided was changing the oversight from the Public Works Director over to the Facilities, Parks and Recreation Director. I think at any point that we do add an events coordinator back, that communication will happen between myself and them.
Yeah.
As far as the coordinating is concerned. I really wanted to pinpoint more on the responsibilities and where they lie between the organizers and between the town.
Yeah.
Specifically with trash and parking and right-of-way closures and making sure that the communication with Bruce was spot on.
Yeah.
He had some concerns he wanted addressed as well. So that's something you want me to add and designate that back to somebody else. If that role ever becomes available again, we can certainly do that, but.
I think my main question would be, should we just make it more generic? Or do we need to make it more generic? That instead of it's this specific communications and events coordinator, it's the.
It could be the Facility, Parks and Recs Director or designee.
Sure, yeah.
Or town.
But I think we're trying to specify that it's with you as opposed to Public Works, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the purposes of where the generalized part of the contract is and responsibilities within the town, I think it was important to transfer that over, but
Yeah.
I want to get more specific on where it goes beyond me. I mean, we're welcome to do that, but I don't have a person to do that with right now.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I just was like, well, if we don't have a person to do that, maybe we should just make it more general. And I just got a text from Dan saying that the organizer is online if we want to.
There they are.
So I think I'd leave that up, question for the board or leave it up to Gloria and Sarah if we want to, make that more generic to facilities, parks and recreation.
I have no.
Or do you have a preference? In the contract?
No, I mean, we can definitely make it more general to Facilities, Parks and Rec team.
Great, yeah. And then there were a couple places where it said May 2010 that I think we need to update to May 20. On page 143 and 151.
Good catch.
Yeah.
I had a question. Negative.
Get that as a top.
I had a question about the events and activities under the town, which has been crossed out. And I guess I probably just haven't kept up with this, but the barricades and other crowd control mechanisms, has the Iron Horse been doing that previously?
Parks drops them, they set them up.
Okay,
We can pick them up.
okay, and that's still gonna happen.
Yes.
Perfect.
Great. And sorry, I just want to acknowledge that Ian is here. Ian, thanks. This is the board meeting. Sarah's here talking about the contract from a town perspective. So we appreciate you being on in case we have any questions.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Anything you wanted to share as we're discussing this?
I mean, I think ultimately my discussion with Sarah, I'd like to say, has been awesome to start with. She's been a really great advocate and super helpful throughout the process. But ultimately, I just wanted to voice my 2 cents that we just want to continue to be a strong partner for the community. And I apologize that I missed some donations last year. But just wanted to let everyone know on this group that we're committed to being a strong partner and want to help everyone out. And you guys help us out a ton. So want to make it good for everyone.
Awesome. Thank you. It's exciting time. It's kickoff of the season, really.
Yes, it's looking good.
Board members, other questions?
And we're moving to 5-year contract just for admin.
Reduce administration.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, great.
Yeah.
The other question I was confused of is porta potties, my favorite topic to talk about, right, Jim? It was not clear to me. There was reference to the organizer providing porta potties and there was reference to the town providing porta potties. And I think that was page, let me see, I don't know. Let me see if I can find what page. Page 148. And maybe I'm being nitpicky, but again, with entering a relationship like this, I think these are the kinds of things you want to make sure everybody knows who's doing what.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from the
go
Iron
ahead,
Horses
Ian.
side, we have done that in the past and are comfortable continuing to provide plenty of potties. We err on the high side, knowing that having a porta potty line is about the worst thing you can do for an event.
Yep, yeah, so I think we had, on page 148, under the organization, it says, the organization shall maintain an appropriate number of portable restroom facilities to accommodate the event's volume of guests, but then under the town, it says, the town shall provide and maintain throughout the event an appropriate number of porta potties. So, which, is it both? Is it either or? Which one? What works the best from a town perspective and an organizer perspective?
I feel that falls on us of our event size personally. I don't have a problem supporting that, knowing that we are a much larger event than a lot of the other ones. So we don't mind bearing that cost. As far as that goes, I don't have a problem removing the town side of it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ian. So then we would modify it to strike that on page 148, that the town would not be providing and maintaining the portable restrooms. Does that make sense to you, Sarah? Maria? Okay, great. Okay, so changing the date, changing the porta potties. My preference would be to be more generic around facilities, communities, events, director or designee. And then anything else from the board? Good. And Ian, this is just an administrative question for all of us who live here. Can you give us any sense of the road closure time frame?
Yeah.
If anybody's
absolutely.
down south? Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. So we bumped up the road closure time to 7:30 at Purgatory, 7:30 on your side. Just for some safety concerns that State Patrol had, mostly on our side, but just throughout the course. We've having more and more people leaving earlier and some other conflicts we're having on that side. So we were working with them to try to reduce our impact on that and try to make it something that's a little safer for the riders while also not adding a bunch of traffic control and other things that they were going to ask for if we went the other direction. So that's where that came from. I apologize that it wasn't communicated earlier to the Silverton side. So yeah, that's kind of where that came from.
Great, okay, thanks. So 7:30 closure.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, great, okay, thank you. Other questions for the board on this contract or the event? No, okay, so let's see, do you need a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, and are you comfortable making a motion with the edits that we made?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it administrative edits or just?
You can say edits as discussed, and those are the specifying who the marketing material will go to, updating the May 2010 references, and town will not be providing the porta potties. Are those the edits?
Yep.
Okay. Making a motion to approve the 2025 Iron Horse Bicycle Classic contract renewal with the edits as discussed.
Second.
Great, roll call please, Melina?
Trustee Robertson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield?
Yes.
Trustee Schnicker?
Yes.
Trustee George?
Yes.
Pro Tem Harper?
Yes.
Mayor Crankton?
Yes. Great, thank you. Thank you, Ian. Good luck. It's an exciting day. Thank you, Sarah.
Yes, thank you guys so much.
Great, okay. Moving on to agenda item 7B. This is a public hearing. It's a first reading for ordinance 2025-05. An ordinance of the town of Silverton amending chapter 7, article 2, section 17, subsection B and C of the Silverton Municipal Code, repealing the exemption for qualified employees and restrictions for campers for qualified workforce. So this is a public hearing. We'll start with a staff overview, and we'll hear public comment on this issue, and then we'll move on to trustee discussion and deliberation. Lori, I'll pass it to you.
Sure. So this is actually, so we already passed the workforce housing regulation, ordinance 2025-04.
And we pass that in our land use code. And so no, this is outside of our land use code. This is in our nuisance code. And this was what was previously adopted. So we basically have to go in to what was previously adopted and redact that and take that out. And so a lot of these public hearings that I have scheduled are very administrative. But this is just taking out what we currently have in our code since we already adopted a new code for this, so.
Great, thanks, Gloria. Questions from the board on this? Oh, good. And this came up for me because someone was asking me about our ordinance around whether you can camp on your land, or, grandparents come and they want to have their RV up for 20 days or whatever. So, again, noting that we still have in our code in chapter 7, but eventually we'll move it, but it still is in our code that the occupancy of campers within the town for visiting friends and family is limited to a total of 20 camper days per calendar year. So you still can camp on.
Yes. And then any workforce housing will now be referenced in our land use code.
So really, this section of the code will be very short.
Yes, it will just be A.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions on this one? Okay. So now we'll go to public comment. If there's any public comment on this public hearing, you're welcome to make that now. If you have a public comment on Zoom, you can click the raise hand button and we'll promote you to panelist. Do you have any public comment on this first reading of changing section 17, chapter 7 of our code? Okay, we don't have any in-person public comment. And I don't see any public comment on Zoom, so we'll close public comment. Okay, trustee, discussion, deliberations. All right, so let's see. Let's see, there's no motion.
Yes.
Let me see.
Yeah, motion.
Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go,
motion.
okay. Page 163, it's an ordinance.
I'll make the motion to conduct the first reading of ordinance 2025, an ordinance of the town of Silverton amending chapter 7, article 2, section 17, subsection B and C of the Silverton Municipal Code, repealing the exemption for qualified employees and restrictions for campers for qualified workforce.
Second.
Great, thanks, roll call please, Melina.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Wakefield,
Yes.
trustee Schnitger,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yep.
Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. Great, thank you, Gloria. Like tidying up the house.
There's a lot of housekeeping.
Yeah. All right, agenda item 7C. This is a public hearing. This is a first reading of ordinance 2025-06. An ordinance of the town of Silverton amending section 2-2-70 of the Silverton Municipal Code to establish a new start time for regular meetings of the Board of Trustees. Again, this is a public hearing because we're doing the first reading of our ordinance. We'll kick it over to staff and then we'll do public comment and trustee deliberations.
So at the April 21st retreat, we discussed moving our start to 5:30 to make the meetings more accessible and practical for both staff and the trustees and the public, hopefully. And our current code 2-2-70 dictates the meeting start time at 7 p.m. So we can implement this sooner. I do have a resolution after this. If we wanted to implement it sooner, then the ordinance would allow us to enforce it by July 9th. But we could adopt the resolution to make that sooner, as we did with the agenda.
Right, so we can do the ordinance and then adopt the resolution if we'd like.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment on this agenda item?
I like that. I'm Evan. I have to go to the next thing.
Have any public comment on Zoom regarding changing the meeting start time? We love the public engagement. Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comment. Trustee discussions?
So tired.
Justice, all right. The motion is on page 166.
I'll make a motion to conduct the first reading of ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance of the town of Silverton amending section 2-2-70 for the Silverton Municipal Code to establish new start time for the regular meetings of the Board of Trustees.
Second.
Great, roll call please, Melina.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Wakefield,
Yes.
trustee Schnitger,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. Great. And then we don't have a public hearing for the next option if we'd like to adopt the resolution. But we could make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-11. I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution 2025-11, a resolution of the Board of Trustees establishing a new start time for regular bi-monthly Board of Trustee meetings.
Yeah, so moved.
Great. Seconded by Jim. Roll call, please, Melina.
You guys are moving too fast for me.
I know.
Sorry, we'll give you a minute. Give you a second.
Oh, wow.
Motion by Lindsay, seconded by Jim.
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Schnitger,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Tim Harper,
Yes.
Franker.
Yes.
You.
Woohoo. All right, I'd worried about that one. So many agenda items under this. Okay, agenda item 7E. This is also a public hearing. This is the first reading for ordinance 2025-07, an ordinance of the town of Silverton repealing and replacing section 2-2-110, order of business of the Silverton Municipal Code to establish a new order of business. Again, public hearing, we'll hear from staff, then public comment, then trustee discussion.
Right, and so this is housekeeping as well. We adopted a resolution at the last meeting, adopting a new form of agenda and wanted to make that formal in our code. And so this is following that with an ordinance.
Great. Do we have any public comment on this ordinance? I don't see any in-person public comment. Do we have any public comment on Zoom? You can click the raise hand button and we'll promote you to panelist. All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Trustee discussion or a motion? Keep it rolling, guys.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-11, staff, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the town of Silverton establishing a new start. Oh, wait, we just did start time. I'm sorry, I went to the wrong page.
This is the first reading of the ordinance.
Oh, sorry, guys, I was on the wrong page. Okay,
That's so good. What with you?
okay. All right, I will make a motion to approve an ordinance of the town of Silverton Colorado repealing and replacing section 2-2-110 order of business for a Silverton Municipal Code to establish a new order of business.
Second.
Great, second by Jim. Roll call, please, Melina.
Trustee Halverson,
Take that on.
Yes.
trustee Wakefield,
Yes.
trustee Schnitger,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Tim Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Franker.
Yes. Thank you, guys. You never knew before you joined the board how hard it was to change a meeting time or an agenda order.
I missed one meeting.
It's everything.
That'd be a lesson to you.
All right.
I did.
This item is agenda item 7F. This is a resolution 2025-12, a resolution adopting strategic goals for the years 2025 through 2028.
All right, so at your retreat in February on the 24th and then again on the 21st, we honed in on some strategic goals to focus on until 2028. I changed it to 2028 because I realized that is the time where we have a lot of turnover in the board. That makes more sense, and it also gives us a little bit more time to accomplish these goals. The goals have been reviewed with staff and are presented in this packet along with the resolution. Your goal areas are, and I want to make sure that I captured everything that we talked about in these. So invest and prioritize in infrastructure, promote open and accessible communications and access to services, support affordable housing, and financial sustainability. And then we have the objectives underneath there. I also outlined a Gantt chart for each of those, outlining when you can see progress on each of these goals. And then the last page there is financial implications.
Thanks, Gloria. Questions from the board on, first off, just kind of holding on the big overview. Does everybody feel like this captures what we talked about at our retreat? Is there anything missing? Do you feel like there's stuff on here that you're like, How do you feel about page 174?
don't feel like there's anything missing. I think when we talked at the retreat, it was a conversation of like, you were gonna do the Gantt chart and then see what the capacity was. Like, after doing that exercise, do you feel like we're at like still 110, or are we back down to like 80, 90? 80 is like very
Good question.
optimistic.
Very good question.
I think the way I see this is if we were to be successful at doing all this at once, we would definitely be going 150%.
Mhm.
But it allows us to prioritize and shift from projects to project. So I feel like we're at capacity here,
Okay,
and that's okay.
yeah.
I'm very happy with the outcome, and I appreciated you all honing it down a little bit more, and talking through maybe taking stuff off the list. So where we landed seems manageable.
Good, good. And some of these things have distinct timelines. Some of them can be prioritized and flexed depending on capacity and.
Right.
Other thoughts from the board? You feel like this represents what are your priorities? I mean, are your priorities on here?
Yeah, I feel like it represents our discussion and priorities pretty well, and I just also really appreciate the work of Gloria and the staff to make this so accessible. I think that makes it an actually useful tool, and that was the goal here. So it's clear that a lot of thought has been put into laying this out, and I appreciate it a lot.
So go back to opportunistic budget. We talked about of like, this does seem to be the 100%. And there's things that always come up that look nice and have money tied to them, maybe. So just not like just a track of like building in some sort of what if scenario here. Yeah.
I appreciate the clear direction on the goals, and then as those opportunities come up, we can look and shift if we need to, but this really helps us kind of focus for a minute.
It's
It's a
nice.
starting point for whatever comes.
Yeah.
It strikes me too that prioritizing a capital improvements plan really allows us to then highlight what would those opportunistic things be that we'd want to go after. Because then we have our plan of like, these are our top priority things. These are the things we want to build or fix or do or invest in. So, but that doesn't completely address your point, Lindsay, of capacity. Yeah. Good. So staff feels good with where we landed. I feel like these priorities still feel very in line with what we've heard from the community, with what's in the master plan. Like, it's been we've had different iterations of this board through the master plan. And what feels positive to me is that we're just continuing to kind of work through the components of the master plan that are really salient of the moment. And so I really like where we got to here. And I think that over all the comments we've had, whether it's on EQRs or whether it's on housing or whether it's on infrastructure, this all feels really in line with what the community has been telling us they want to work on too. That's my sense. Still hoping someday for that multi-purpose pavilion, but. Hey.
Start with the perimeter trail.
Right, that's right. It's gonna walk right to the multi. Over the bridge, Sarah. Over the bridge.
Over the bridge.
Currently have a trail to nowhere. All right, good. Any other final comments on the strategic goals before you really set them in stone here, folks? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to adopt resolution 2025-12, a resolution adopting strategic goals for the years 2025 through 2028.
Yeah. Somebody else. So move.
Second.
We give everyone else opportunities.
Made me do enough reading.
Oh, sorry.
All right, moved by Jim, seconded by Lindsay. Roll call, please, Lena.
Yes.
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 Trustee George,
Yes.
Pro Tem Harper,
Absolutely.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. Great, good work, Gloria. Thanks for all the ways of presenting it as well. So when we start going off the rails, you bring us back to, on here. Yep. All right, number 8, discussion and direction items. We don't have anything under that agenda. So number 9, committee reports. We have a CAG report and then the SMPA 550 Summer Road Projects update.
And those are more of just FYIs. I know you all received these emails, but also want to keep them as public record. And then the Red Mountain closure updates, not full closures, more traffic holds throughout May and June. And then in September, there'll be the 5-hour full closures. So.
Yeah. So just noting for the public, anybody who listens later on YouTube or listening now, you know, expect 15-minute traffic holds going over 550 to Urea Montrose for the summer. And then in September, there will be longer closures.
Correct.
Great. And just so everybody knows, the CAG will be writing letters of support for the NRD project as well, like the overall regional projects. So they've been a great partner there. Any questions on those 2 reports?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do these closures have anything to do with southbound?
Nope. Just northbound.
So all the the stoplights that they're putting up there,
Yeah, I saw those today.
and they started today.
Well, I don't think that's the SMPA one. I don't know what they're doing on that end. Yeah, CDOT.
They're stopping it right over here, all the way down to Colbank.
Oh, okay.
Great.
I guess I should get out of Silverton more.
Yeah, I noticed they were like staging some equipment and
Okay.
I think these ones were just what Alex presented
Yeah.
last week,
Yeah. Huh.
2 weeks ago.
Well, if any CDOT partners are listening, would like to let us know what the closures would be, that'd be great. Okay, agenda item 10, open discussion, future agenda items. This is an option for trustees to share.
It's replacing trustee updates.
Yes. Yeah. So this would be an option where if we had public comment that we wanted to address, or if someone wanted to raise an item for a future agenda item. Yeah, Jim.
I have a question.
Great.
Going back to 7B on our agenda this evening. With what we passed this evening, does this preclude us from having conversations at the end of the season regarding the RV ordinance and all that stuff?
Not at all. It should just live in the land use code. And eventually the personal camping will be moved over there as well.
in fact, that means we only have one piece of code to address.
Yeah.
To the redundant.
Exactly.
All right, thank you.
Good point.
Yeah, and seeing how something works and then changing it.
Yeah.
Is, I think that's how
Mhm.
we've been doing better.
Yeah.
A great use of this agenda item. I'm very excited. Thank you, Jen, for demonstrating.
Love it.
Proof of concept, Jim, proof of concept. Great. Any other open discussions or word on the street? Okay,
It's EMS Appreciation Week, but this is happening in between this meeting and the next meeting, so it's
Yeah.
first, so just bringing it up
thanks, Tyler.
this month.
Tyler,
Get your EMS people.
Appreciate it.
like chocolate?
Yes.
Like,
There's a lot of chocolate cupcakes over there.
Take them over there, they'll be destroyed. They are.
reminder to everybody, there's not a second meeting in May, so the Memorial Day the week after Memorial Day, there's no board meeting. A great popular town event is graduation. Even if you don't even know anybody graduating, it is magical. Go to graduation. It's so fun. And that's happening on Thursday, the 22nd at 6 p.m. at the school gym.
And we have 8?
Six?
Six.
Yeah, 0 last year, 6 this year. So
Big year.
very exciting. And let's see, I feel like there was one other thing.
Am I still getting a ride in the truck?
Say what?
Yeah.
I love the truck.
Truck it's here to stay now.
Highlight. It's why you graduate from this town. Ride fire truck. All right, any other thing for the good of the order, Jim? Yeah,
Our meeting scheduled for 6/2,
yeah.
5:30 PM.
Not AM.
Oh, did I send it out too fast?
You were speeding.
I will not be at 5:30 AM.
He was making sure you're paying attention, Jim.
Always.
Great. Also to note, mayor, coffee with the mayor is gonna be different over the summer, so check social media and the flyers in the post office. And we will move on to closing public comment. Do we have any other in-person public comment? Okay, we have Zoom public comment. We'll promote you to panelist. You could introduce yourself and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for EMS, everything you do forever. I want to make a comment on, I have a question about retreats versus public input in a public meeting. And I want you to think about whether you think the people in Silverton want more retreats or less. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment on Zoom? Okay, we'll close public comment. Jim, you had something else?
Just had one last thing to say. John Zarkis, thank you so much for being here tonight. Get ready, buckle up, hard hat.
I know.
I got a job for you.
Very busy, I feel, so.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you. And at that, I'm gonna get out of here because I do get up early. I am at work by 6 a.m. So 5:30 is not out of the question.
That's
Oh, nice to meet you.
all right. That all?
That's it.
Okay, the time is 7:47. I'll adjourn this meeting.